In today's video we're going to do some street photography. I'm using a Sony a7 III with the Sony Zeiss 1.8mm 55mm lens, a nifty 50. It's a great budget lens for street photography. Ideally I'm waiting for it to go a little bit darker, but I know a good location. There's a great bridge across the river here that I'm going to start with, so we'll have a wander out and get some photos up there. Just before I set off, let's talk for a minute about settings. I mentioned it's an f1.8 lens. That's probably the default aperture I'm going to go to for most of the time. But I am going to use the camera predominantly in a manual mode because I want to be able to choose what is in focus, what is blurred and so on. And if I'm looking to do some maybe long exposure shots as well, then I'll want to make sure that I've got a long shutter speed. The other thing I'm going to use is a little mini tripod. I'm trying to travel as light as I can just to keep down carrying heavy things like a bulky tripod around with me. Because street photography is all about finding a great location and getting yourself in a great position and then getting those nice shots. Now, it's been raining all day today as well, so I'm hoping that the roads are wet and shiny. When the lights come onto them, that'll make it more interesting still. Found an interesting location, kind of frame within a frame, and I'll waiting to see if somebody will walk by and it makes an interesting shot. There's somebody just going by now and I can just get an idea of that, how that would work. Fortunately, because of all these dark clothes, didn't show up against the dark background. Maybe I need him to do it from the other way around, but I'll try a couple of shots and see what happens. Really cool bridge here, so should be able to get something on there. Maybe I'd like it a little bit darker with more lights on in the buildings behind. Let's have a wander up, see what we can get. Found an interesting scene here. Some padlocks chained to the bridge. There's lights behind. Now I can't show you this, I'm just filming it on the iPhone, but when you see the shots I take, you'll see there's some lovely bokeh coming up from the lights behind. And as the cars pass through, they'll all create it as well. That should make for a really nice artistic shot. Just getting dark enough for the lights to come onto the bridge. I'm going to see if we can do something with them and some of the patterns that they make. There's some nice curves to the bridge. Well, I think with them, and turn those lights into bokeh as well, make an interesting shot. So when you want to get those little circles of light that are called bokeh, those lovely buttery shapes, you need to be focused on something right in your foreground, and that'll give you the rest of the photo going out of focus, and that's what creates that lovely circular buttery shape. Oh, I found an interesting sculpture or monument. Picks up on history of Lancaster and the slave trade here. If I focus in on some close detail, any cars coming by should create some nice shapes with their lights in the background. I've come up here by the castle, which you can see behind me. I'm sure there's something I can do up there. It's quite a high point as well, so you get a bit of a view over the city, although it's not actually great from the particular location I am now. So I'll just show you a bit of the castle. I'm going to have a little wander around and take some other shots. There's one other thing that I wanted to tell you about in your settings. So I'm underexposing everything actually by about 0.7 of a stop. The reason for that is because I don't want to blow my highlights. No, my camera, the a7 III, performs really well in low light anyway. I've still got my ISO quite low actually. I'm getting away with ISOs of 400 or lower. But by setting that little bit of underexposure, I can ensure that none of my highlights are blown by the bright lights that are in the background. That's the danger, that you miss some of these really bright areas, particularly when you've got a dark scene and it blows your highlights. So that's another little tip you want to bear in mind. I've been having a little wander around by the castle. There's some lovely old street lights here. Let me just angle this so you can see the line of them behind me. And just sort of capturing people as they get caught under the light, capturing them against windows, just looking for silhouettes, anything that makes something interesting. But I'm going to walk now through the city a bit. There's a couple of pubs by the canal. I'm hoping they'll be nicely lit up. It's gone a lot darker now. I'm having to use much higher ISOs. Now, it's not as scary as it used to be. You used to get a lot of noise. But nowadays, modern cameras are really excellent at controlling the noise. The other thing is, software is really great at getting rid of it now. It depends where you're going to use your photos. Most of these will only end up on social media, so I'm not really worried about what quality it'll be. Maybe the biggest one would be printed perhaps at A4. So whatever way it goes, even I'm using ISOs up to about 4000 at the minute, it's still going to look okay. Sometimes you just got to chance your arm and be a bit bold. There's a group of Chinese girls here that have all been posing for photographs under the traffic light. I just went up and asked them, can I take a picture as well, and they were happy to agree. So most of the time nobody says no, so it's good just to if you see an interesting subject, chance it, be bold, ask them the question and see if they're happy. I think it's much better to do it that way than be a sniper and just try and steal the shot without anybody noticing. Made it to a different part of town. We're down by the canal. There's a pub just around the corner, and there's actually a bridge over the canal, so hoping I might be able to a really cool shot from on the bridge. Just before I do that, I'm going to try and grab one or two from the bank here and focus in on things like the reflections on the water, because I think they'll make some nice nice shots. This is the other pub I knew of by the side of the canal. I'll probably make a more interesting shot on a busier night. It's actually a Wednesday night, so I'm here on a Friday. Maybe there's some people outside, make it a bit more interesting, or maybe on a really moody, misty night. Anyway, some nice reflections in the water and a chance for me to get a few final shots. So guys, back home now. How did I feel the 55mm performed? Actually pretty well. There was a couple of occasions where I would have liked to have gone a bit wider, and there was an odd occasion where I would have liked some more compression, maybe from 70 to 200 or something like that. But overall, I felt it was a really good solution for the kind of photos I took tonight. If you're concentrating more on architecture and buildings, then you might have wanted something wider. If you were trying to get more shots, close-ups of people, then perhaps something like an 85mm might have been the best choice. But the lens I'm using is about £650, somewhere around there. Now you can buy Sony's I think it's an f1.2 G Master 50mm lens, set you back £2,000. So I think it's a great solution. So if you're looking for something as a 50mm prime, 55mm prime, I think this is an ideal lens to go for, and there's a link in the description. So I hope you have enjoyed that. And I'm going to leave you with the shots I've taken tonight so you can judge for yourself whether it's the right lens for you. If you have enjoyed this, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link to that below. Just for a couple of pounds, you can help me make more videos like this. This has been a bit of a different style for me, so I'd love to hear in the comments, if you're a regular viewer, whether you found this a better format and whether you'd like to see more of these, or if not, tell me that you didn't like it as well. Tell me what you would like to see. It's a big help. Anyway, I hope to see you next time.